Hi, welcome to Christy Sunrise. Today I'm going to share with you how I make peach jam. Let me go ahead and give you some ideas of what you need. You're going to need some half-pint canning jars. Those are these size. This recipe yields 7 cups, which means 7 jars. I only have 5, so I'm using a big one. I normally don't do that. These all have been washed with warm soapy water. I kind of fill up the sink with warm soapy water, let them sit in there, and then wash them. You have to do that first. I have the bands here to all of them. And then in here I have the lids. And I'm going to put these on the stove to get them warm. And when you put them in here, if you can note how they're stacked. They're not stacked on top of each other. They're kind of separated. So I'm going to move them over here to the stove and get them on. Okay, and I have the hot water already boiling, well, close. But what I wanted to share with you is in this pot, I have a rack. And the rack will keep the lids off of the bottom of the pan. So it's kind of a makeshift canning jar. So now I'm going to put these jars in here. They need to be completely submerged so that they will be sterilized. Even though we washed them and dried them, they still need to be put in the hot water to be sterilized. And they need to be covered, filled with water, whatever you need to do to make sure they're all in the water. Okay, I'm going to put the lid back on that. Let that get, okay. So the recipe is 3 pounds of peaches, 1 lemon. You're going to need 4 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. If you don't have a fresh lemon, use lemon juice. So it's 3 pounds of peaches, 1 lemon, 4 cups of peaches peeled and pitted it, and I've already done that except for 1 because I want to show you how I do that, and 5½ cups of sugar. And you need to measure your sugar out before you start. You need to get everything prepared before you start the process, because once you put the jam or the peaches in the pot and it starts boiling, you don't have time to stop and measure sugar out. So I've measured out 5 cups. And I need 5½, so I'm going to show you that it needs to be leveled. It's very important that your measurements are correct. So that's a half. So now I have 5½ cups of sugar. Okay, so the way I peel my peaches and chop them is I just peel them like this. You can probably use a potato peeler. I've never used a potato peeler. They might have a fancy vegetable peeler nowadays. I don't know, but this is how I do it. You can do it any way you want, whatever makes you happy. So I'm kind of slicing it in little slices. You can see they're supposed to be diced, chopped, and then I kind of go over the bowl and go around, and then the little pieces are falling off. That's kind of in a clump, so I'm going to chop it up some and go around. There's no rhyme or reason, just get it in little pieces. The way that you can, and you don't want the pits in it, or you don't want pit pieces either, so you want to make sure you don't get any pit peaches. See, that comes off pretty good. When you're buying the peaches, you want them pretty ripe. You don't want them green. You don't want them real hard. You want them a little soft, and you can always ask the produce people at the store to pick them out for you. Tell them that you're making jam. Okay, this will all go to the deer. Okay, so I have the peaches, and it is a little more than 3 pounds. I usually will buy an extra peach just in case there's parts of the peach that I have to cut off. So let me rinse my hands. Okay, you need 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, and to juice the lemon, I kind of do this to it. And then if you don't have a juicer, you don't want any seeds in it. If you don't have a juicer, you can use something like this and just squeeze it and then measure out the 4 tablespoons. I have this fancy juicer. I have not had this long, but I do have it. And there's one. You will also need a box of Sure-Jell. It's fruit pectin that aids in the gelling of your jams. Okay, and I'll measure it out. I need 4 tablespoons. You really don't need to measure it out. You could just I would trust that it would be enough, but I'll measure it out for you. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's not quite 4, believe it or not. So I will add some. I have some. But if you don't have lemon juice on hand and it's not quite what you need, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Don't worry, be happy. This out of the way. Okay, so we have our peaches. We have, and it's 4 cups. It's a little more than 4 cups. I did measure it out. But it's better to be a little more than 4 cups than less than 4 cups. You don't want less than 4 cups. And then the Sure-Jell, the lemon juice we're going to add when we add it to the pot. Now I'm going to, the jars are boiling. The lids are they're already boiling, matter of fact. So I'm going to stop the camera, move it so that you can see the peaches in the pot cooking. Okay, there's a lot of prepping to making the jam, and what I did went by pretty fast, but I did spend time prepping, so don't think that you can do it really quickly because it doesn't work that way. I also wanted to share with you, this is the recipes that are in the box of Sure-Jell. This is what the box of Sure-Jell looks like. When you buy it at the store, look at the expiration date, make sure it's not expired. So I'm going to pour the fruit in the pan. I usually start it a little low, like the peaches, to give them time to get some of the, render some juices. I'm going to go ahead and pour in the lemon juice. And I'm going to add the fruit pectin. Okay, the jars are boiling. You can see that, so we know they're hot. Matter of fact, I'm going to turn them down to simmer. We'll be returning the jars to this pot to water bath them. Okay, so stir in the fruit pectin. I will tell you, the most jars of jam that I have made, both were strawberry. One I made 96 jars in one weekend. And another time I made 120 jars, and those jars were made for a wedding. Their theme was they were the gift for the guest at the wedding, and it was spread the love. So that's the most that I've done at one time. Well, I'll say one weekend. Okay, so I've turned this up because it's got to cook at a high temperature. I have my sugar measured out. Most important, you will be using a potato masher to kind of smash the peaches up. You can put your peaches in a food processor, or if you have some type of other fancy chopping machine, but do not purify it because it is jam and it's supposed to have some chunks in it. So my heat is medium. I'm going to turn it up. Because you do cook this at a high temperature. Also make sure that you have a pot holder for your hand because this is going to get real hot. I'm okay right now, but it will get real hot as it cooks. So it's starting to get a little juicy. I want it to get a little juicier before I start smashing it with the potato masher. I've made peach jam, strawberry jam, plum jelly, apple jelly, orange marmalade, mesquite bean jelly, and apple butter is what I can think of in my head right now that I've made in the past years of my, and how I got started in making the jam. I didn't wake up and say, my gosh, I need to make jam or jelly. My neighbor had a plum tree, and they brought over, I don't know how many bags of plums. And I said, my gosh, I've never made plum jelly before, but I did, and it was my favorite. But I will tell you, peach jam is my favorite. I love the peach jam on pancakes. That is the best. And I do know that it does take a lot of time to make something like this. You will get 7 jars out of it to keep for yourself or share. I used to make jam and jellies for Christmas. I would give them away to our friends and family in a basket with cookies and pecans and caramel popcorn and all kinds of stuff. But jams, there was always a jar of jam in there. See, you can tell it's starting to get juicy. They're getting soft. I'm getting ready to start mashing them, but I want them a little juicier. I will also tell you one more story. A friend of mine that I worked with, I had given them some strawberry jam. She always got jam when I made it. But anyway, I'd given her some strawberry jam, and her mother took out a store-bought jar of strawberry jam and my homemade jam, and they said there was no comparison. The homemade jam was so much better. So that's why I want to encourage people to cook. I really hope that I can just get one person with these videos, one person to decide to start cooking. That's all I want. Okay, so they're softened. I've got my handy dandy potato masher, and I'm mashing them. They don't all have to be mashed. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to be cooking it at a really high temperature. They'll get softer as we go. We'll be adding the sugar here really, really soon. but this just kind of helps it. And it is hot. I don't have my vent on because I don't want the sound to go through my mic. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right. That's good enough for me. I am going to add a teaspoon of butter. That will help with the foaming. Even though the foaming doesn't bother me. Now, if you're entering the jam or jelly into cooking contests like the county fair, which I've done many, many times, you want everything perfect. But this is not the case today. And I have won many blue ribbons. Never a tricolor, but that is okay. All right. I'm going to turn it up a little. It's between high and medium. I don't turn it on high. And everybody's stove is different, so. Okay, I'm going to do the potato masher one more time, just a little. It's not a big deal. My sister-in-law, they used to have a lot of peach trees when they lived out by us, and she would bring me bags and bags, and I would make jars and jars. I don't remember how many jars I made at that time. I don't think I counted them. It was a lot. Okay, I'm going to gradually add the sugar. Not going to add it all at once. And it's turning that shiny color. I love it. Kind of dissolve it slowly. If you add it all at once, it goes. It's not a bad thing, but I like to savor the moments of making jam. Don't rush it. Add the rest. Okay. Now I'm going to put my mitten on because my hand is getting a little warm. And you're going to stir and stir and stir. And the jam is going to come to, it needs to come, must come to, I'm getting the sugar off the sides, to a rolling boil. And what that means is, I'm going to turn it up a little more. What that means is when you stir it and it keeps, and you stop and it keeps boiling, no, I'm sorry. When you stir it and it keeps boiling, that's a rolling boil. If you're stirring it and it's boiling and you stop stirring it, then it is not a rolling boil if it doesn't keep boiling. Okay, I'm going to get my rack ready. And I'll be moving my camera back over here, I guess, so you can see us load the jars. It does usually take a while to start boiling, so you need to be patient. You can see on the spoon, it is starting to gel. Oops, showing that to you right. I'll tell you, the jam I put it on my buttermilk pancakes. We make homemade buttermilk biscuits. You can use it. It pours on canned biscuits, toast. The mesquite bean jam and peach jam, some people have used it on when they're barbecuing. The mesquite bean jam, quite a few people that I knew used it when they were barbecuing chicken. That jam is has a unique taste, and kind of like cinnamon honey. And you do make it out of the actual mesquite beans. Okay, it's starting to boil. Okay, we're stirring it. I still would not call this a rolling boil yet. When I stop, it's still boiling. When I stir it, is it still boiling? Looks like it. Okay, so now we're going to boil it for 1 minute. No more, no less. 1 minute. Okay, and you got to keep stirring it. Don't let it burn on the bottom. That'll be nasty. It's going to be delicious. See, it's okay, the timer's getting ready to go off. This, you need to have your ladle ready. Okay, I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to move the camera over here. And I'm hoping you can see us ladling the jars. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to move the jam here. I have my lids right here. Ooh, my jars. Now I'm going to take my jars out with this. And this you need to do pretty quickly. Now, this is what we're going to be using to put the jars back in the water with. To load the jars, we need a ladle. And I have this fancy thing. I have not always had this fancy thing. If you don't have this fancy thing, I used to use, I just cut off a funnel, and that's what I used to use to fill the jars. Okay, and you need a wet rag. All right, so let's fill the jars. You want to fill them, I'm not going to touch it right now, but to the bottom, to right here. Now, I have been known to add peppers, like habanero peppers or jalapeno peppers, to this jam. And it takes a lot to get it hot, you know, where it tastes spicy. See that it jammed? Yum, yum. Okay, so now what we're going to do, you need a wet rag, and you need to wipe all of the sides off. You want the top rim. You don't want any jam on the top rim or the sides, because you don't want it to interfere with the sealing of the jam. Okay, this looks perfect. I don't see a lot of foam, but like I said, if you were entering it into a contest, you would just like take the spoon and scrape the top off. But I really don't see a lot of foam, but that's how you would do it. And then wipe the spoon off before you put it back in, because the foam will stick to the spoon. Okay, next thing we're going to do is our lids. Sometimes they're hard to get out. They're being extra friendly today. That one has two. Whew. Come on, baby. Okay. And I'm going to put the rings on them. You got to make sure that the rings are not cross-threaded, that they're on there correctly. I'm just kind of, I got to tighten them here in a second when I can get something to hold the jar a little better. My jar gripper. Okay. I'm tightening the lids. Okay, I'm going to move the camera back over here because we're going to be loading the jars back into. So, needs to make sure that they're covered in water and that you're allowing space in between the jars. I'm going to put the big one in the middle. I normally don't make a big one, but it's what I had today, so it's what I'm using. And I eat the jam pretty quickly, so I will be putting that one, opening that one and using it in my refrigerator. Okay. Space these a little differently. I have to have space. Only one time in all the canning I've done in my whole life, and I usually add this water back in, and I'm going to add a little more hot water. Hot water, because this one's not completely underwater. The only time I have busted a jar in the process of canning is when I was making chow chow. You can have hot water on the stove. All right, there, now it's covered. Okay, so I'm going to cover this with a lid. I'm going to bring it back to boil. I'm going to put it on high. But while I was making chow chow, and I don't know if you know what chow chow is, it has corn and all kinds of vegetables and stuff in it. My in-laws used to love it, and they would come up, and my father-in-law had a garden, and he would bring all of the ingredients, cauliflower, I don't remember, corn. I know it had corn, cauliflower. Anyway, and we would make chow chow, and they would take home a couple of cases of chow chow. Okay, we are going to bring this to boil. It has to be a total boil. Once it starts boiling, you're going to boil it for 10 minutes. If it was jelly, you would boil it for 5 minutes once it starts boiling. But jam, you boil for 10 minutes. So I'm going to stop the camera. You know what you need to do. It needs to be a full boil. Then you're going to set the timer for 10 minutes, and then you're going to take it out. And I will be back with you. Okay, I've got about 2 minutes left. My jars, I will show you, are boiling still, but I do still have some time left on the timer. I wanted to share a little more information with you. The box of Sure-Jell used to, and then didn't come with this, and one I bought recently did have it. But it is the directions on how to make the jams and jellies. There is a side for jam, and then there's another side for jellies and freezer. You know what you need to put them in the freezer. It will show you the fruit, how much you need of everything, how many pounds of fruit, how many cups of sugar. You do need a box of Sure-Jell for everything. It does show you that. So I did want to share this with you. If you get a box and these directions are not in the box, then just go online. I'm sure they have it on their website. I think that's why they had stopped putting it in there. Of course, it saves money. But it's so nice to have this. And if you do get one in a box, I would keep it. I've had mine for years, and I keep it in my little cookbook that I have my recipes in. Okay, it's about to go off. I'm going to go ahead and use this to take the jars out. I have 20 seconds left. I'm going to go ahead and stop it. Okay, so remove the lid. I'm taking the jars out. I'm tilting them sideways to get the water off, on top off. Just lifting them up, tilting them, get some of the water off the top. Okay. I always get nervous getting the big ones. Said I normally don't make jam in a big jar, but I was short 2 jars. Okay, you'll start hearing popping noise. And what the popping noise is the jar's sealing. I'm not going to get back on here to tell you more, but I'm just going to tell you right now. The jars are they're liquidy, they're hot, of course. You can see they're liquidy. As they cool, it'll become firmer. Your jam will become firm. You're going to hear popping noise, and it is the lids sealing. If you have lids, like this one's still domed, but it'll pop. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? It popped. Okay, that means it's sealing, it's sucking it down. If the lid does not seal, you just put the jam or jelly in the refrigerator. You don't have to re-hot water bath it and everything else. Not unless you want to, you can. But it has to seal in order for you just to store it on a baking rack is where I keep mine. As I'm looking at the jars, the fruit, a lot of the chunks are floating to the top. So as the jars are cooling, I want you to shake them, not shake them, but like turn them upside down as they get thickened, as they cool. That way you're distributing the fruit throughout the jar, the chunks of fruit. So just as they're as they're cooling, see this one? You need to just kind of shake it. That way you can guarantee even distribution of the chunks of the jam. So just do that with all of them. And you can do it until it doesn't tend to be floating anymore to the top. Keep mine. So anyway, this is how we make peach jam. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. I am planning on doing a strawberry one for sure, a strawberry jam one for sure. and share the video with your friends. I would allow about 2 hours to make jam, especially for your first time, because you just have a lot of preparation to do to get it ready. So I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day and try this peach jam on your pancakes.